Hello, this is Jerry Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have poll, who do you support for president in 2024 from International Silver 1, and the poll was, looks like we have 19 votes for none of the above, 18 votes for Joe Biden, 4 for Donald Trump, 4 for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., 2 for Dr. Cornel West, and 3 for I don't vote. I voted for none of the above, and I said, voted none of the above, will probably vote for the LP candidate or writing Garfield the cat. That's my thoughts on that one. Then next we have F'd Up from Stone Toss, and I hosted that, and that was a Stone Toss comic of Elon Musk saying, advertisers, go fuck yourself. And then Alex Jones comes in, he says, does this mean I can come back? And then Elon says, go fuck yourself. So I said, what did I say? I said, definitely agree. I think Elon's Twitter is better when it comes to free speech than a lot of other platforms, but he's definitely hypocritical about being a free speech absolutist. So then we have Tucker is truly one of the biggest frauds of our time from Josh Equal, and that was him tweeting, here's an email from Tucker Carlson to his friend, Hunter Biden, asking for Biden's help to get Tucker's son, Buckley, named after Bill Buckley, into Georgetown University. Tucker is truly one of the biggest frauds of our time. Because Tucker said, Dave Smith said, I.V. Buckley is one of the great villains of the 20th century, and Tucker Carlson said, I couldn't agree more. And I said, I agree with Carlson rhetoric sometimes, like when it comes to anti-interventionism, but I agree he's a poser and a member of the elite he supposedly derides. Then we have poll, peaceful slavery versus dangerous freedom, which do you prefer? I said, inspired by bumper sticker I saw a while ago, I voted for dangerous freedom. I think that is the libertarian perspective. So currently we have 12 votes for dangerous freedom and 3 votes for peaceful slavery. And I said, I don't know if I had anything else after that. Yeah, I definitely would think freedom is something that's inherently dangerous. Like, free speech can be inherently dangerous. As Ron Paul says, we don't just have free speech to talk about the weather. And I think that's something that's important to remember. We can't be justifying state authoritarianism just because something is dangerous. Like, I don't think you should be doing a lot of drugs. I think they're dangerous. But just because they're dangerous doesn't mean I think we should be justifying the state's authoritarianism over them. Then we have Florida GOP chair accused of sexual battery. Attorney says he'll be exonerated from the Herald Tribune by Kage blah blah blah. And I definitely don't think that's good. It just goes to show you that a lot of these politician folks aren't too good, especially when it comes to the GOP. I think we're gonna have another post later about a Libertarian Party candidate that wasn't too good, but it just goes to show you that it just goes to show you that people who are supposedly in charge are just as fallible as the rest of us, and that's why I think the whole notion of being in charge is itself probably incorrect. Then we have Ramaswamy is a stab you in the back candidate. He has some good small government rhetoric, but so did Reagan. Look how that turned out. And that was a tweet I made, and that was a post I made as well. And I said, I do think Ramaswamy is the best of the Republican candidates out of all of them left. Maybe Hutchinson as well, but he's probably going to drop out soon. But that's a very low bar to clear. Then we have poll for the U.S. Will 2024 be calmer or more tense than 2020, and I posted that, and I said, voted calmer. In 2020, they needed COVID and riots to make Trump look incompetent. Now they need to emphasize what a good job Biden is doing by comparison. Thoughts. And then currently we have 13 for more votes for more tense, 8 votes for calmer. And I said, did I say anything? I don't think I say anything else there. And yeah, so I definitely think we'll be calmer, but you never know with how they need to control the narrative. They need to keep people divided and hyped up, so we'll see how that goes. Then we have, why do you think the rich and influential want people to demand from government to pay for the Green New Deal, universal basic income, 4-day work week? Do you believe in billionaire altruism? From WallStreetJournal.com by Ulu Gunnar. And yeah, I said personally, resource allocation is something that I think is probably the most justified role of the government. That's why if I had to fund one program for voluntary taxation, it would probably be UEI. With that being said, it's important not to become overly dependent on anyone else, and that definitely includes the state. And then the original poster submitted. Why wouldn't you just donate 50% of income to people in need? Why do you want the government to administrate and charge for the resource transfer? I said I agree, but if people want to use the government, I think they should be able to. Then we have Russian court bans LGBT movement from BBC.com, and that's from Kage blah blah blah. And I definitely could I don't think this is justified, and I think, if people want to have their own movements, I don't think the state should be making them illegal. Even if it's a group like I disagree with, like the communists or the Nazis, I definitely don't think it's the state's thing to make their movements illegal. I think nothing should be illegal when it comes to an ideological movement, I would say. Then we have You Didn't Build That from Wikipedia, and I posted that, and I said, that was Obama's comment on July 13th, 2012 in Roanoke, Virginia, about how the state is actually supposed to be credited for everything because you didn't build that. And I said, was having a conversation about Obama on this subreddit, so I thought we might look back at one of his most famous quotes. Honestly, it's one of the worst things the president has ever said, in my opinion. Obama seems to think that no one should take credit for their accomplishments. It's all the state's doing. I think if people want to credit the state or the Lord or anything else for their success, they should be able to do so, but I don't think people should be forced to do so if they don't feel like it. Obama was, of course, saying this from a position of state authority at the time. The implication to me is that he wanted people to rely on the state rather than themselves. After all, they didn't build it, the state did. Then we have embattled GOP Representative George Santos expelled from House from FoxNews.com by Dr. Who 07. And, I replied to Comrade Proudhon's comments. They said, a good step. First step, only 221 more fascists to go. And I said, more like 400 or so. There might be a few exceptions like Thomas Massey. I definitely don't think we should be justifying kicking out of Congress members of the House for lying, because you could probably kick all of them under that logic. But, I guess, if Congress wants to justify expelling people, that's on them, I guess. But, I personally don't trust any of them, I would say. Maybe Thomas Massey. But other than that, not too many of them, I would say. Then we have U.S. plans to impose visa bans on Israeli settlers engaged in violence report from International Silver One, and that's crosspost from the Palestine subreddit. And I said, I didn't say anything here, but I guess if the U.S. wants to block free travel. I think they should be able. I guess they can justify that. I personally don't care for the blocking of free travel. So I don't know. I personally think I'm not for travel bans of any sort. So I personally would be against this. But that's my thought on that issue. And we have former candidate for PA state rep arrested for child porn from NBC Philadelphia, and I posted that, and I said, I quoted from the article, Matthew Charles Christopher Shooter was last year running Libertarian candidate for Pennsylvania's 142nd District, which orders parts of Allentown and South Whitehall Township, was arrested Wednesday. And I said, somehow I'm still the Pennsylvania LP State House Representative candidate from last year that the subreddit dislikes most, because I ran for the 168th District last year, got seated off the ballot by the GOP, but yeah, I'm still probably, I'm still probably more disliked because, I question the narrative and actually engage with these people, so they don't really like that. They like their circle jerk, and they probably would hate that more than someone getting arrested for child porn, I would say. Then we have Philadelphia lawmakers vote to ban ski masks in some public places, a move praised by police but panned by rights advocates from CNN.com. And I posted that, and I said, I think the libertarian perspective that you should be able to wear whatever you want. If you don't want to wear all the clothes, you should be able to. If you don't wear none of the clothes, you should be able to. I don't think we should be telling people what they can and can't wear. I think that's the libertarian position. That's why, I'm against mask mandates, but I'm also against, you can't just ban masks either like they did here. Then we have, this person went all the way to Palestine after receiving DMs about how they'd be killed if they went there. This video proves all those trolls' wrongs. Pro-Israeli groups have zero issue with endorsing anti-LGBTQ plus bigots. The state of Israel zero issue with getting support from anti-LGBTQ plus bigots. And I said, I don't think I said anything else from this cross-person in Palestine subreddit. And, yeah, I personally think this is more on the propaganda side, but, yeah, I definitely wouldn't trust the Palestinian state any more than I trust the Israeli state when it comes to the rights of people who dissent, I would say. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have, if we're going to expel Congress members for lying, we might as well expel all of them from LP Tennessee on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, an honest politician is quite the oxymoron. So, yeah. Then we have, could Texas be the start of a mass breakup of the United States of America from LP National? And I posted that, and I said, I'm pro-secession down to the individual level. I don't know if this will happen. They said they just got on the Republican primary ballot for next year, but most social media sites for things that don't happen. But I personally, if they wanted to see it, I think they should be able to. And as I said, I'm pro-secession down to the individual level. If people want to just secede their own house from the country, I think they should be able to. Like that one guy in Nevada, who I think his name is Kevin Ball. He has the Republic of Molossia. And I think that's something that, if people want to just have, say, their own houses in the independent country, they should be able to, and act accordingly, if people want to say, oh, I'm the emperor of the US now, like Emperor Norton did back in the 1800s, I think they should be able to as well, people will justify what they justify, as long as you're not forcing something on anyone else. I think you have as much, you have the right to claim any authority that you want to, as long as you're not forcing your stuff on anyone else. That's the libertarian perspective. Then we have, ironically, Raphael Ted Cruz wants to ban mandatory use of preferred names from Crown.com by Whittling Dan, and I linked to a tweet that said far-right Ted Cruz, and that was his tweet from a few months ago. He said, the Ugandan law is horrific and wrong. Any law criminalizing homosexuality or prison death penalties for aggravated homosexuality is grotesque and abomination. All civilizations should join together in condemning this human rights abuse, hashtag LGBTQ. And then I also added, mandatory anything is not libertarian, I would add as well. So, I personally don't think I personally don't think you should have compelled speech, like forcing people to call them by their pronouns. I think you should be nice, but I think I think you shouldn't be an asshole. And you should just call people by the pronouns they wish. But as long as it's not like too crazy, I would say, like not like the Niner or Zizim or Zazer, Zuzah, Zuzah, Zizah pronouns. But yeah, as long as if you use one of the neopronouns, I'm probably just not going to want to interact with you anyway. So but yeah, I think you should be nice and call people by the pronouns they want, but I don't think it should be legal to call people by the wrong pronouns. That's increasingly, seemingly, the direction people want. They want to arrest people for misgendering, and I don't think that's the libertarian perspective. I think the libertarian perspective is free speech, and that includes speech that you might not like or might despise, and might constitute what you consider to be hate speech or misinformation. All speech is fundamentally free speech, I would say. Words aren't violence. And then we have, I think it's interesting that a lot of the ones who get to use the state's monopoly on force are often the ones who aren't elected. That was the self-post that I made, and I said, I'm talking about people like police officers, FBI/CIA agents, military, stuff like that. As I like to say, it's oftentimes more important who enforces the laws than who makes them. So that's my thoughts there. And then I think we're going to wrap it up there. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.